Let's take a step back nearly 6 years ago when the SEC dropped the lawsuit on Ripple and on the XRP community. Vitalik Buterin didn't hold back at all. In fact, he said, looks like the Ripple XRP team is sinking to new levels of strangeness. They're claiming that their trash coin should not be called a security for public policy reasons, namely because Bitcoin and Ethereum are Chinese controlled. Now, it's funny because over time we did find out that both Bitcoin and Ethereum were Chinese controlled. It was pretty straightforward. It was facts. It wasn't a lie or anything like that. But we question why XRP is so hated on. Why is everyone hating on XRP? Because it's not just Ethereum and Ethereum's founder. We go over here. This is the Digibyte coin blockchain founder. Mind you, Digibyte is pretty much, it's around, but nobody really talks about it anymore. But we look at this, and again, here we have another thread all about how XRP is not decentralized. It's a scam coin. It's this, it's that. It is ridiculous, to say the least, that we are still constantly fighting FUD. But why? Why exactly are we seeing so much FUD still? Why is it coming from all of these different communities? Bitcoin maxis, sure. Bitcoin maxis, they've always hated on XRP. I remember when they used to call it the banker's coin. They used to call it this coin, that coin. They used to say that it was centralized and that Ripple is doing this, Ripple is doing that. And, even today, it's still a common theme, except it's not just from Bitcoin maxis. It's from Ethereum maxis. It's from Digibyte maxis. It's from Bitcoin maxis. It's from all of these other communities. And I even go over here because, again, here we have another post from a Bitcoin maxi. And we have, does anyone actually own XRP? I think I'd rather be invested in XRP knowing that the early dev team wasn't funded by Epstein. But hey, that's just me. And again, it's because when we think about these comments constantly, it's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that we are still seeing these comments today. We're talking about years and years and years of just constant FUD. And I feel like nobody ever questions why. Why are they so terrified? Why are they so scared of XRP to the point where they have to FUD it constantly? Now, let's go over here to a new update coming from CBS because, again, this is coming from CNBC. CBS just announced that U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Jeffrey Epstein were in business together, the Epstein Files show. Now, this is very interesting because of all the connections back to Bitcoin from Lutnick. For those that don't know, well, let's go over here. Here we have from Cowboy Crypto 313. If you believe in crypto long-term, why don't you lock in on an IRA account from iTrust Capital? They offer one of the best platforms out there for anyone that is planning their retirement around crypto. And the best part about this is, yes, there's tax advantages built within this platform. And also the best part about this is that they offer everything you need for tax reporting. If you sign up today and deposit $1,000, you get a free $100 bonus utilizing my link down in the description below, as it was in the comments below. So what are you guys waiting for? Go check them out. You won't regret it. And with that being said, let's dive on in back to the video. This just makes the Tether conspiracy even less conspiratorial and more factually correct. Epstein was in business with Lutnick. Lutnick was CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald. Epstein has Brock Pierce all throughout his emails. Pierce visited Mindshift conference on the island shortly before founding Tether. Cantor, well, they managed Tether's billions in treasuries. Probably nothing though, right? Again, when you are going down the rabbit hole with Tether and Bitcoin and all of this stuff all throughout this entire time, you are finding nothing but things like this. I would be concerned being a Bitcoin maxi. And the reason why, well, it's because of what we constantly are seeing. When it comes back to Bitcoin, let's go over here. Jeffrey Epstein emails reveal that he was linked to Bitcoin's early ecosystem. Wait, why aren't all the Bitcoin maxis talking about this? Why are they still bringing up XRP? Oh yeah, that's right. They have to divert the attention away from this because, again, this is terrifying to them because at the end of the day, who wants to invest into something that was developed by, or at least fund it in terms of the early development by, Epstein? Nobody does. Here's what's happening. The biggest red flag is how close Epstein was to Bitcoin funding channels and early development circles. Here are the main links. MIT funding. Epstein sent $850,000 to MIT between 2002 and 2017. Part of these funds supported the MIT Digital Currency Initiative, the group that paid Bitcoin Core developers during a funding crisis. Developer Connection, the DCI, was paying people like Gavin Andresen and also Vladimir von der Laan when the Bitcoin Foundation ran out of money. Epstein visited MIT 9 times. He met staff privately. His name was hidden internally. They called him Voldemort. The Manhattan meeting. Emails show a meeting inside Epstein's mansion with Brock Pierce, early Bitcoin investor, co-founder of Tether, Larry Summers, former U.S. Treasury Secretary. They discussed Bitcoin long before it became mainstream. Summers said Bitcoin had opportunities, but he worried about his reputation if the price collapsed. Steve Bannon connection. Well, in 2018, Epstein emailed Bannon asking how crypto taxes worked. He wanted advice on receiving coins, paying with coins, distributing coins, and avoiding campaign finance rules. Bannon replied, on it, and connected him to the FEC experts and crypto veterans. Early crypto research. Epstein's Amazon logs show that he bought books on Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchain, and negotiation strategy. This was in 2017 while he was trying to rebuild his network. These 5 links alone show Epstein had access to developers, regulators, politicians, donors, and early crypto investors, and none of this was public until now. The emails clearly show that MIT underreported the donations. Epstein visited through back doors. Meetings were not logged. Senior MIT officials approved the money privately. Bitcoin developers were funded during the same period. None of this proves Epstein controlled anything in Bitcoin, but it shows that he was closer to the ecosystem than anyone imagined. Now, a lot of people have been speculating on Epstein being Satoshi. I don't necessarily think it's that serious. However, I still think that the fact that a lot of the core developers were being funded by Epstein Cash, I think that this is crazy to say the least. And it's very concerning. Now, on top of that, we go over here. Remember this post? I'm going to bring it back up because, again, it's still relevant now that we're starting to see more and more FUD posts from Bitcoin maxis. Dear Bitcoiners, you spent a decade calling XRP the banker's coin while Jeffrey Epstein was funding the Bitcoin Foundation and coordinating with Jamie Dimon and many of the largest banks to position Bitcoin. Now would be the right time for you to admit how wrong you were. And yes, here we have them calling out Ripple, calling out Stellar, and just talking about how it's bad for their business, especially when they want to push Bitcoin ahead. It's just shocking to me that this is still not being brought up by any Bitcoin maxi. Now, we go over here. You guys remember this post? Yeah, this is Jack Mallers. I can confirm that Ripple is sending millions of dollars to undermine a strategic Bitcoin reserve in America. I can tell you right now that Ripple could care less if there's a Bitcoin reserve in America or not. The idea that these Bitcoin maxis like Jack Mallers have to constantly attack Ripple speaks volumes on just where Ripple is currently at in the game and how much concern and panic and just how much of a threat these Bitcoin maxis see Ripple and XRP as. It is shocking to me that this is still an ongoing conversation. It's still shocking to me how much of a threat Ripple and XRP still are years and years and years later. I could just imagine what Vitalik Buterin thinks of Ripple and XRP today, especially considering the fact that they beat the lawsuit. But why is Jack Mallers so crucial to bring up? Well, we're going to get to that here in a second. Let's go over here real quick, because now we have confirmation that people are actually getting paid to FUD on XRP. Here we have from Pumpius. I just received a private message offering me $25,000 to defame Ripple and XRP. A paid script telling me exactly what to say. Call it a scam, claim I sold everything, blame Ripple and influencers for wealth destruction. Let that sink in. So ask yourself this. Who is funding this campaign? Who benefits if XRP is defamed? And how many accounts you see daily attacking Ripple are not organic voices but paid proxies following the same script? This is how narratives are engineered with money. And if they are this desperate now, imagine what they are trying to stop from coming next. I will not be bought, but I will expose it. Pay attention. And here we have the message. Hey, Pumpius, our team would like to offer you $25,000 in USDT Tether for one post on X. The requirements: tag Ripple and call it a scam. Share that you sold all your XRP. Blame Ripple plus influencers for wealth destruction. You can put it in your own words, but it has to be a requirement to include all of the 3 points mentioned above. We can send you 50% of the USDT before posting and the rest upon completion, only if you're open to it. This is just a wild revelation. But you know what? I'll tell you right now, it's not shocking to me at all. And I just wonder how much these voices and these names in the space, like Jack Mallers, are getting paid. Now, why is Jack Mallers so interesting to bring up? Well, we know that Gary was also coerced into going after Ripple and XRP. He was mentioned in the Epstein files. We talked about it. The SEC was pretty much, it got infiltrated by people pulling the strings. So they were controlling the SEC. They told them exactly who to go after to attack Ripple and XRP. Again, this confirms that the SEC lawsuit was, well, at the end of the day, one big fraud. Now, we also go over here to ETHgate being exposed. This is from Minus Wells. ETHgate exposed as elaborate smoke screen, puppet Master Epstein's master stroke in diverting eyes from Bitcoin Gate bonanza. Hold on to your hardware wallets, folks. Turns out ETHgate, that juicy tale of Ethereum's regulatory romps and SEC sweethearts, was just a shiny decoy dangled by the late great not Jeffrey Epstein himself. While we're all chasing Vitalik's ghost and, we're still looking at Gensler, the real crypto corruption festering in Bitcoin Gate, think shadowy mining cartels, fiat-fueled frauds, and blockchain bribes, goes unchecked. Epstein, from his island of infamy, played us like cheap violins in a Ponzi symphony. We've been bamboozled, bag holders. Time to wake up and follow the Bitcoin breadcrumbs before the next gate gates us all. Now, listen, this is the connections here, everything. It's just shocking. But the craziest part about this is Jack Mallers, because this is someone that's always, been around the Bitcoin space. He comes up constantly on my timeline, usually attacking Ripple and XRP. And guess who he's best friends with? That's right, Anthony Pompliano. Why is this funny? Well, when we look at the facts here we have from Anthony Pompliano going all the way back to 2020. I do not want to bother you. I'm looking for my money. Interesting. So again, this is from someone, Anthony Pompliano, who also had direct connections with Epstein. All of these players are tied back to one another. That's why when we think about the earlier post, right? This post that I brought back up, talking about Ripple openly, naming Ripple, it's pretty clear that Ripple and XRP are looked at as a threat and always have been a threat since going all the way back to 2014. And it still was getting brought up in 2020. This is why we're still seeing the FUD today. I wouldn't be surprised if there's still a lot of money getting tossed around. We already know that there is, coming from this post from Pumpius. $25,000 for a post on X. Pretty crazy, right? The question is, who's still pulling the strings? That's what I want to know. But this is why you can't trust and you can't follow all of the FUD. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video.